If you want to know why your belly keeps swelling by 4 in the afternoon, why the waistline refuses to budge no matter what you cut from your plate, and why you wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep, do not look at your food alone and do not look at your age. Look at what may be living inside you right now, quietly feeding off everything you eat. Come close, baby. Sit with me a minute. This is the kind of thing the old women in my grandmother's village spoke about openly, and the kind of thing that most doctors in this country will never bring up in a 10-minute appointment. It is not that they are hiding it. It is that parasites and gut overgrowth do not come in a pill bottle. They come in a cup of bitter tea, brewed slow, sipped warm, and the insurance codes do not have a box for that. So folks over 60 walk around with bloating, stubborn weight around the middle and an exhausted gut, and they are told it is just getting older. My children, I want to tell you something different today, something that could give you back your mornings. My name is Mama Aisha Diallo. For over 40 years, I have served my community as a master herbalist, carrying the plant medicine my grandmother taught me in the Fouta Djallon highlands of Guinea, deepened by the bush doctors of the Caribbean and the gula root workers of the Low Country. I do not come to you with a degree on the wall. I come to you with 5 generations of women behind me who live past 80 with clear eyes and strong digestion. My grandmother used to say, all disease begins in the belly. The cleanness of the belly decides the cleanness of the blood, the peace of the sleep, the strength of the womb, and the calm of the mind. When the belly is at war with something it should not be carrying, everything else in the body starts to bend around that war. In my grandmother's hills, the women drank bitter teas from the time they could walk. 5 generations I can name, and in all of them, we rarely saw the stubborn middle-aged weight, the constant bloating, or the fatigue that folks in this country carry like a second coat after 60. Researchers from tropical medicine institutes have come to West Africa with their clipboards and found what my grandmother already knew. They observed that traditional bitter teas reduce intestinal parasite loads significantly across study populations. Grandmother would have smiled. She did not need a laboratory to tell her what she watched her own mother do every Sunday morning of her life. This is not a supplement you swallow and forget. It is not a prescription. It is a tea prepared with patience, and it works on something most folks have never had named for them. One piece of this tea is going to surprise you, my children. 9 out of 10 people get the order wrong, and the order is what makes it work. Steep it wrong, and you will get a bitter cup that does nothing. Steep it right, and you will feel the shift within a week. Stay with me to the end because I saved the most important part for last. Before I go further, do me a favor. Leave a comment below and tell me your age, and tell me one thing. When did your bloating start, and what time of day is it the worst? I read every single comment on this channel, and what you share decides what I cover next. In this video, I am going to show you the African tea my grandmother drank every Sunday of her life, the 3 bitter plants that do the work, the exact preparation the old women used, and the morning ritual that tells you the tea is working. I will show you the forces in modern life that feed the very thing this tea clears, and I will show you the single most important habit I can give you after 60, the one that keeps the belly quiet for good. One small favor before we begin. If this channel has helped you, take 2 seconds to subscribe. There are folks your age all over this country who need to hear about the old ways, and the only way they find this channel is when people like you help carry it forward. That is all I am asking, my people. 2 seconds, and you help me reach one more grandmother who needs to hear this. Now, let me tell you what is actually happening in your belly. After the age of 60, the stomach produces less hydrochloric acid, 40% less on average by the time you reach 70. That acid was your doorman. It stood at the entrance to the gut, and it killed most of what should not pass through. When the doorman gets old and tired, parasites, yeast, and unfriendly bacteria slip past him and settle into the small intestine, where they feed on your sugars, your carbohydrates, and the nutrients you meant for your own body. They release gases, they inflame the gut wall, and they signal the body to hold on to water and fat around the middle. This is why the belly swells after meals. This is why the waistline will not move even when you eat clean. The old women in the Fouta Djallon watched this happen to travelers and foreigners, and they knew exactly what to do. The tea is three bitter plants working together. First is neem leaf, what my grandmother called the village pharmacy. Neem is the natural house cleaner of the gut, sweeping the intestinal walls and making the terrain unfriendly to parasites. It works like a firm broom on a dirty floor. Second is wormwood, known in the old country as the bitter root that wakes up the liver. It stimulates bile flow, and bile is what the body uses to escort parasites out. Third is clove, which the bush doctors of the islands called the finisher. Clove addresses the eggs that neem and wormwood miss. The old women knew you needed all three because anyone alone leaves work undone. Here is how you prepare it the way my grandmother did it, and you must follow the order. 1 teaspoon of dried neem leaf, half a teaspoon of dried wormwood, 4 whole cloves crushed lightly. Put all three into a clay pot or a glass pot, never metal because metal fights the bitter plants. Pour over 12 ounces of water that has just come off the boil, not still boiling. Cover it and let it steep for 10 full minutes. Strain it into your cup and drink it warm on an empty stomach first thing in the morning before you eat anything, before you even drink your water. Do this for 7 mornings, rest 3 days, and repeat for 2 more cycles. 3 cycles in total over about 1 month. That is the old way. Let me tell you about Eleanor, 72 years old, a retired librarian from Savannah, Georgia. Eleanor came to me with a belly that swelled so badly by evening that she had 3 sizes of pants in her closet. She was exhausted by 2 in the afternoon every day. Her doctor had run blood work and told her everything looked fine. What was overlooked was what was feeding on her from the inside. I walked her through the 3-cycle tea ritual. By the end of the 2nd week, Eleanor told me her afternoon fatigue had lifted by more than half. By the end of the month, her waistline had reduced by nearly 3 inches, and the evening bloat was gone on most days. She called me and said, "Mama Aisha, I woke up this morning and I felt like my stomach was mine again. That is what this tea does. Please, my children, speak with your doctor before beginning any new herbal protocol, especially if you are on blood thinners or diabetes medication, because bitter herbs can shift how those medicines work in the body." Let me pause here, my people. Folks ask me every week what they can take alongside the tea to keep the belly strong between cleanses. And I want to be honest with you about what I have landed on. After all these years, the one thing I recommend is BoochBod. It is a kombucha gummy, not a pill, which matters because at our age, capsules are a struggle. Grandmother taught me years ago that what she called winter armor, the dandelion root, is one of the ingredients inside it, together with slippery elm, which the old women use for the gut lining. What makes BoochBod different from the probiotics you see in the pharmacy is the 3-part formula. Prebiotic fiber feeds the good bacteria. The probiotics themselves, including lactospore and postbiotics, LM1004, are clinically studied strains, and the postbiotics, the actual compounds your good bacteria produce, are what calm the gut wall and carry the real healing. Probiotics alone do not work without prebiotics to feed them, and without postbiotics to finish the work. Over 30,000 people are already taking BoochBod daily, and the link is in the description below if you want to take a look. As always, speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. 3 smaller habits carry the tea further. The first is warm lemon water 15 minutes before the tea, just an ounce to wake up the liver. The second is chewing every bite 20 times because the doorman at your stomach works better when food arrives properly broken down. The third is a small handful of raw pumpkin seeds with your lunch because pumpkin seeds contain a compound that paralyzes parasites and allows the tea to sweep them out more easily. Now I come to the one I have been waiting to share. The most important habit I can give you after 60 is this: a castor oil belly rub every night for 3 minutes before you sleep. My grandmother called this the quiet hand. You warm 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed castor oil between your palms, and you rub it in slow circles around your navel, clockwise, for 3 full minutes. Castor oil, when applied to the belly, penetrates the lymphatic system directly beneath the abdominal wall and supports the drainage of waste, toxins, and parasite debris out of the body. The laboratories have come around to this in recent years. Researchers observing traditional ricinoleic acid applications have documented measurable increases in lymphocyte activity in the abdominal region. My grandmother only smiled at things like that. She had rubbed her own mother's belly with castor oil and her daughter's bellies and mine, and she knew what it did long before any research confirmed it. Let me tell you about Robert, 68 years old, a retired mail carrier from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Robert had been carrying a hard, bloated belly for 15 years. Nothing moved it. When he added the nightly castor oil rub to the tea protocol, something shifted within 2 weeks. His morning stool became regular for the first time in years. His waistline dropped nearly 4 inches over 3 months, a reduction of almost 12%. He wrote to me and said, "Mama Aisha, I found my mornings again. I get up, I feel light, I feel like myself." That is the quiet hand. That is what 3 minutes before sleep can do. After 40 years of watching what actually works, these are the insider pieces. First, always drink the tea warm, never hot. Boiling water damages the bitter compounds that do the work. Second, consistency beats intensity. 3 cycles done gently over a month will always outperform one aggressive week. Third, the castor oil must be cold pressed and hexane free. The cheap refined kind will sit on the skin. The good kind sinks in. 3 mistakes I see folks make. The first is steeping the tea in a metal pot. Metal binds with the bitter plants and weakens them. Use glass or clay. The second is drinking the tea with breakfast. The empty stomach is what allows the tea to reach the intestinal wall. Drink it first, wait 30 minutes, then eat. The third is quitting after one cycle because they feel a little worse in the first 3 days. That is the release, my children. That is the body letting go of what it has been carrying. Push through. The 4th day is when the light comes. Baby, listen to me. This is not just about a smaller waistline. This is about the mornings you have ahead of you, the Sunday phone calls with your grandchildren, the garden you want to tend for another 10 years, the strength to walk into a room and feel like yourself. The belly is where your life is built from, and when the belly is clean, everything upstream of it comes alive. It is never too late. I have watched women of 75 and 80 begin this tea and reclaim their bodies in 3 months. Your body is listening for you to come home to it. Let me lock this in for you. The African tea is 3 bitter plants, neem, wormwood, and clove, steeped in glass for 10 minutes and drunk warm on an empty stomach. 3 cycles over 1 month. The warm lemon water 15 minutes before the tea wakes the liver. Chew every bite 20 times. A small handful of pumpkin seeds at lunch. And the quiet hand, 3 minutes of castor oil on the belly before sleep every night. If this helped you, subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Share it with a sister or an old friend who has been carrying a heavy belly for too long. And tell me in the comments which part you are starting first, the tea or the castor oil rub. I read every single comment on this channel. The BoochBod link is waiting for you in the description whenever you are ready to take a look. Go gently today, my children. Grandmother's hand is still on your back.